we are again. I get the pleasure and privilege to try somebody else's homemade alcoholic beverage. Now, I didn't call this a beer because it's not a beer. A really cool dude by the name of Reed. I forget where he lives. I haven't looked at the email that he sent me with any of his information except for one thing that I'll get to in a minute. Well, I can look to see where he's from. He's from Atlanta. He goes by Noximian on Reddit, but he offered to send me one of his meads, and I believe it's spiced from prior conversations. But that's all the information I know about it. That and the fact that he said it's probably going to gush a little bit. My understanding is that he made this mead sparkling. It's really warm where I live right now, so if you see me wiping my face and stuff, that's why. This is the, hopefully, this bowl will save me from getting bubbly mead all over this table in my back porch. So, here we go. Oh boy. Here it comes. Actually, I might be able to save it. Look at that. Reed, it's beautiful. I can tell it's nice and spritzy, which is exactly how I like it. Ooh, beautiful pink color. This may be a cider. I really don't remember. You can see how pretty that looks. Like a dark rose color. Bubbles rising up from the bottom of the glass. I'm really excited to try this. Okay, I'm going to do some tasting, take some notes, have my wife try it out, and I'll be right back. Oh, that's a mead. Ooh. Well, before I get started on giving my excuse for feedback, at least, I should say that I've never made mead. I think in my entire life I may have tasted 10 to 15 different meads, most of them made by other homebrewers, so I've never had like an award-winning mead. I want to try some Moonlight stuff, but we can't get it where I live, unfortunately. So this was a fun one for me. And besides that, these obviously have more alcohol than the types of beers I make. So let's see. I think the best way to start this would be to kind of, so what I did is I took some tasting notes. I sipped it. I gave a little bit to my wife, and I'll let you know what her reaction was. And then I took my notes, and without changing my notes at all, you'll see there's no erasing marks or scratch marks or anything like that. I went and I read what Reed sent me. And I think it might be best if I share with you a little bit about this mead first. Reed lives in Atlanta. Like I said, his name is Noximian on Reddit. If you're not using Reddit yet, check it out. We got a great community over there, the home brewing community. Reddit usually, Reed, oh boy. He usually does BIAB stovetop, primarily high gravity beers. Yeah, he just recently made his smallest beer, and it was 1050 OG. That's like my average. He likes to make meads. He had made a few meads before. He went to the 2013 NHC conference, which I believe was in Philadelphia, and attended quite a few of the talks on mead, taking away with him information that he wanted to put to use when he got home. Get off of there. Hold on. So he gets home with an idea in mind to make a specific type of mead. I'll share with you the specific type of mead later. And he went about making this mead using all of the information, and it ended up being, I think he thinks he fucked it up. So we'll see about that. All right. He did not share with me, by the way, what the gravity of this thing was or what the alcohol percentage is. But I'm going to guess it's relatively high, higher than I had imagined. So I actually recapped that very, very carbonated bottle because there's no way I can finish a whole bomber of that on my own. So here we go. For the appearance, and I'm going to try to be a little more organized with this. For the appearance, it is incredibly clear. I mean, a slight haze, beautiful deep pinkish purple. We've got some, you can see them in the background perhaps, some crepe myrtles, and it reminds me of the color of some of the flowers on the crepe myrtle tree. It's beautiful. These goddamn flies. There were, in the first pour, this isn't my first pour, in the first pour there was some tiny flecks. I still see some in here, which my guess is it's just skins from the fruit that he added to this mead. Not a problem. I don't even taste it or feel it in my mouth or whatever, but there are some specks in there. Aroma-wise, it's very aromatic. Slightly earthy, which is that's kind of how I smell honey. When I use honey in cooking or other applications, it just has this earthy smell to it, something I really enjoy. And there's a strong, I noted there to be a strong berry, almost blueberry aroma to it, and it actually kind of reminded me of, as well, cherry icy that you get at Kmart when you were a kid, or maybe even today. And then I started wondering if maybe he used some pomegranate juice or something like that in it, because it had kind of a sweet pomegranate aroma as well. You can kind of smell the alcohol in there, you know, that kind of boozy smell, but it's not unpleasant at all, and it's not overwhelming. Let's see. Overall, I put it's kind of like running through a field of wildflowers. That was my cheesy way of, you know, that just sounds good to me. And that maybe he used wildflower honey. I'm not sure. He didn't make a note on that either. So flavor-wise, definitely get that honey earthiness, which is delicious. Again, I got a very strong blueberry and cherry icy flavor out of it, with a little bit of alcohol warmth. My experience of the fermentation character was that it was very clean. And again, I don't drink many meads, so I'm not sure what they're supposed to taste like, but I tasted honey and berries. I didn't taste anything off of that, so keep that in mind. The fermentation, regardless, was very clean. Mouthfeel-wise, there was an impression of fullness. Another thing that I've experienced with every mead that I've ever had, and I think it just comes from the honey. Maybe it's the flavor, and of course, this happens every time. Get out of there. I'll still drink it. It's sparkling. It's very carbonated. It's carbonated to the point that when it hits your tongue, it kind of explodes in your mouth, which is really enjoyable with this. Like I said, I get this impression of fullness, so it doesn't really thin out. But I will say that there was what I picked up to be sort of a tannic kind of. I can feel it in the back of my jaw when there's tannins, like when I drink a good red wine or whatever. And I experienced that with this, subtly at least. It was there, and it was somewhat puckering, but not in an unpleasant way again. I enjoyed it. I've never drank this much mead in one sitting, and it's, you know, I turned the camera off about 10 minutes ago, and not only do I keep going back, I actually want to go back. So those are my notes that I took on this. Overall, I enjoy it. As far as meads go, it's probably the best mead I've ever had. Well, it contends with a cactus mead that I had one time. That was delicious as well. So here are the notes that Reed left for me. He says that this mead did not turn out the way he intended at all. So he went to this NHC thing, took away all this information, went home, made this mead. He went to a farmer's market, and rather than using, you know, blueberry concentrate, he picked up 10 pounds of organic blueberries, got home, threw it in his blender, blended it all up, and just threw that right in to the carboy with his mead. Now, his concern, which hit him afterwards, which seems to be a common thing for us homebrewers, and we start to worry after we do something silly, was that he didn't use he didn't pasteurize the mead, he didn't use Camphor tablets or anything like that, so the wild yeast on the outside of the skins of the blueberries, he was concerned, may infect, and he picked up some flavors in it that where that hit him. Yeah, that's what we got. So another thing was he decided to use the yeast 71B. I have no idea what that is. I've never even heard of that, but supposedly it's what all the good mead makers are promoting out there right now. So when he went to rehydrate this yeast, it was the first time he'd used dry yeast. He went to rehydrate it, and he got a new microwave, and the microwave superheated this water compared to what it would have done in the same amount of time in his old microwave. And so he poured this dry yeast into 180-degree water. And then he said, fuck it, and he just put that in the mead anyways. Right. Figuring that there'd be a few viable cells at least. So he does that. A few days go by, no fermentation. He gets concerned, didn't feel like running to the homebrew shop because that can be a pain in the ass. I can relate with you. And so he dug around in his goodie bag from NHC, found a pack of Danstar Belle Saison, a yeast I've never used, but I've heard good things about, and figured, what the hell, may as well rehydrate this and pitch it, which is exactly what he did. Within a couple hours, fermentation was chugging along, he says, and then this is the result. So, oh, and he thinks it would go good with pork chops. Probably. I think pork chops are good with almost any drink. So here's some of the stuff. The blueberries, to me, that must be what I was picking up when I said blueberries. I'm wondering if the blend of blueberries and honey are what was giving me, and maybe that Saison yeast is what was giving me that kind of cherry icy flavor. But it's really good, and I would never have guessed that this was fermented with a Saison yeast. Perhaps Belle Saison ferments cleaner than the Saison yeasts I've used, mostly 3711, which I get a very, very strong, noticeable Saison character out of. So I think it worked really well in this mead. Let's see here. I would never have guessed that there was any wild yeast in there. To me, I even commented that the fermentation was super clean. I use Brett often in my brewery for fun, and I don't smell any Brett character. It smells like a cherry icy that melted in my glass, which is a good thing. I like cherry ices. And as it warms up, I get a little bit more of the, just a little more of that kind of, you can feel the alcohol go. I'd really like to know what the ABV is on this, Reed. Shoot me an email, man. My wife got me a breathalyzer for Father's Day. I should go grab that and see where we're at. That's all I've had to drink today. All right, yeah. So that's Reed's blueberry Saison mead. I think he did good. He's shared it with folks, and they all seem to be it seems to be generally well received. But it's hard to tell. I would be honest with you. Well, I wouldn't drink a ton of it, but that's because I like to have a lot without getting too drunk. And I could tell that if I were to pound that bomber as fast as I like to drink, my wife would be annoyed. My wife's response. So I took some inside. I let her have a sip, and her response was, "Whew, that's strong." So she doesn't drink beer. She's never had mead before, and she's okay with some ciders. They have to be sweet, though. She did comment that it had a nice berry character, but I don't think she'd have any more than just that one sip. Wuss. All right, Reed, thanks a lot for this, man. I look forward to talking with you about this over email and stuff. For those of you who have sent me beers, I've got them all. I promise I'm going to get to them. I'm trying to do one a week. With everything else going on, it can be kind of time-consuming to do all of these things, and I still have family to take care of. So, cheers, Reed. Take care. Thank you for the awesome experience.